Studios. The cinematic duo. Now, here are your hosts, Paula Perez and Trevor Kriminek.
So, what the hell is going on with YouTubers retiring? Like, all the ones that we used to watch are just going.
It's been a decade. You don't think maybe they'd want to retire by now?
Well, also, it's also the fact that a lot of them just like kind of came out of nowhere, where they weren't thinking about it, they didn't say anything, but also I don't blame them, especially like the way YouTube is these days. But yeah, so yeah, we have like Tom Scott, Matt Pat, Captain Sparkles, all gone. And then,
well, I understood Captain Sparkles. I mean, Minecraft isn't as big as it was before, and even if it was, the content that he makes is the most popular.
Yeah.
But
well,
from there, it just kind of sucks.
Yeah. So I know that Markiplier, he said that he will only retire if something else comes along or he gets sick and tired of it. And I think this year, it's 12 years he's been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I believe so, 12.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of those, boy, we don't know what's going to happen anymore. But it's just dark days.
I mean, I can't imagine a YouTube video without Matt Pat, but, his reasons for leaving they're right. He wants to focus with his family. He's been doing this for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the channel's not going to go away.
Yeah.
He's just going to have people doing
other people
still doing it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, a little bit it hurts because, you grew up with Matt Pat, you grew up with his series, his voice, his, his everything to it change in now less than a month, actually. Less than a month. It's heartbreaking, but I also know that a lot of these YouTubers are just growing out of it, or they're just growing up and moving forward with their lives to start a family, to focus on family.
Mm.
I mean, I think that's why Markiplier hasn't retired, kind of like how PewDiePie retired, but it was like a soft retirement. He still uploads, but he doesn't take it seriously anymore.
Semi-retirement.
Yeah.
Where he's he's still around, but not as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's now married and has a kid. And so, yeah, and then, even though Markiplier is dating, there have been no sources or anything coming out saying that they're going to get married or settle down.
Nope.
There's just none of that.
And I feel like it's not that they don't want to. I just feel like the time isn't right. At least for Mark,
Well, I remember, watching his live stream for when he was signing those nude calendars.
Right.
And that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. I know in that live stream, he said he went to the YouTube Summit and was talking with other creators, and he had the thought in his head saying, like, if I stopped now, I would be okay. And so it was like, oh God. But if he stopped then, because the only like big thing that he did, I think, was Who Killed Markiplier. So you didn't have Heist or Space yet, or now his Iron Lung movie adaptation, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping is in theaters.
I'll be honest with you, it might, depending on who helped them make it.
No, I mean I know
So.
like the Impractical Jokers movie. I know that got theater, and that was produced by Funny or Die. So, and they're known for doing YouTube.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then like other crappy movies like Winnie the Pooh that got theater distribution, and
Right.
I
did.
I can't remember the studio, but honestly, I don't give a shit. So yeah, I would like to see it go to theaters, but I know he's very much in the camp of he wants everybody to see it.
See it? Yeah.
Like I know in his live stream for Heist, he talked about how YouTube kept wanting it to be one of those YouTube Red things where you had to pay to watch it.
No.
But then Mark basically said, "Oh hell no, like no, everybody deserves to watch this." So I applaud the guy. Well,
I mean, at least he's sticking to, like he wants it free, even if it costs him an arm and a leg,
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, all the YouTubers that we used to watch are now going away, which is sad. But it's kind of like when you sit back and look at what they've accomplished, it's just huge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Like obviously we're gonna be hurt because it's sentimental and they're like, I guess, a safe space for us on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We grown up with them, we saw them grow, supported them through everything. So to see them go, it's just bittersweet because we know that once they leave, it means that they've made it, that they can just stop doing YouTube for good because they've done it. They did it.
Yep.
But deep down, you're just like, I kind of wish you wouldn't because, who else am I going to watch on YouTube?
Yeah, and now that
the new YouTubers just don't do it like they do. Like, no offense, it's not the same.
No,
no matter how much.
It is not the same.
Mm-mm.
It's that's something I miss is like YouTubers like being actually creative and wasn't so like political and in some ways controversial like it is now. But yeah, it's kind of like, all right, well, the goodness of YouTube is now going. So now what?
I think the one that's going to hit the most is when Red and Link retire. But they're old already, so I don't know if they're going to retire or not.
I mean, I saw, was it Link? He has gray hair now.
Yeah, he has gray hairs now. He used to have a big full head of hair, black hair. Now he has streaks. I think he has a whole front streak right now, if I'm not wrong. So, I mean,
yeah. So it's all these YouTubers. They're now getting older, and it's getting to the point now where it's like nobody really cares anymore, or we've done as much as we can, or it's not getting fun, or whatever the case may be. But when you, it's very sad, but when you sit and reflect on it, it reminds me a lot of like what Mark did with Ethan with Unisonus.
Right.
Because the whole point of that was supposed to be exactly how long this is going to go. So you cherish each moment, as much as you can. And then, after the 1 year, they then deleted the whole thing. And yeah, they still say like what people are missing from it. And it was like the whole point of it was supposed to be like, like I said, exactly how long you have to live. And the the moments that you are currently having will become memories in the future. And so that was their whole thing, which, yeah, that was sad to go, but
Yeah, obviously.
it was great. Um, like, for a little insight, I know you and we were watching the live stream for the final day, and when it got down to the hour, we were just texting each other, going like, "This is just so sad. I can't handle this."
I mean, because everybody was getting all emotional in the chat, and then it didn't make it better that there was just a clock right there in your face telling you that it's almost time, and I'm just like, okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was sad. Unis Honest being deleted was sad because, it was like nothing you've ever seen before, at least content-wise. And then it was just like literally two friends just fucking around the entire time for a whole year.
Yeah.
And then you get attached to them and then you're like, oh, maybe they're not going to. Maybe this is just like an experiment. And it was definitely not an experiment. We know that now. They actually went through with it. So, but.
Yeah, that.
I mean, I did see online that the people that did watch Unis Honest and went through the entire thing, or just even in general went through it, not necessarily watched everything, kind of just did learn that it's okay to let go. Because, I mean, everything was fine after Unis Honest left.
It's hard,
obviously.
But, it's okay to let go.
So,
and that's
I mean, it's okay if they're leaving. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt, but it doesn't mean that they didn't do as great the decade that they were here.
I also like to see it like it's, you had a puppy for a while and then you watch that puppy grow and grow, and then now it's time.
Exactly.
So it's hard, but it's like, we had, you were around for a long time, and just cherish those moments. And also, it's not like the videos are going away. So it's not like Unis Honest where they totally deleted everything.
No. At least, yeah. No.
Yeah, so. But yeah, our favorite YouTubers are going away, and it's sad because, I don't want to see anything regarding like those like TikTok influencers or the fucking Paul brothers. I don't want to see any of that shit. And
no, nobody wants to.
And even something is the trending page. It's not like creators anymore. It's all like the late night hosts, or like late night shows and celebrities, and it's like, what is happening? Like, no. But I still remember, YouTube's like Adpocalypse, and like they lost their ad revenue, and a bunch of YouTubers were hit hard for that. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how much YouTube has evolved, and it's just nuts. I mean, even when the reviews that I post, sometimes they'll be, YouTube famously has a lot of algorithm that is not working properly. Let's just put it that way. And like, it was like with, like I think it was season 4 of Stranger Things, and I was trying to find trailer that didn't have like copyrighted music, and it just got to the point where I'm like, I can't find one. So I think I had to edit like 3-4 times until YouTube gave the thumbs up. But then I think like a couple of days later, I got an email saying your video has been copyright claimed. And if you go to it, all you hear is just like one guitar string. That's it. It's just and it cuts. So it's like you can't really distinguish what that song is, from, because yeah, I wanted to make sure it didn't get copyright claimed.
Right.
And then submitted a claim, and then the next day the claim was off. I was like, what is going on? Yeah, there's some videos that do that. There's some times where they'll do that, and it's kind of difficult. Like, one of my favorite videos that I've done was my review for Manos: The Hands of Fate. I love going back to that video and just looking at it. And there's a part in the movie where like a whole bunch of characters are fighting, but the fighting is pretty much like just like shoving, and like there's like no punching. There's like it's honestly like what we thought elementary school fighting was, except they're grown ass adults and they're doing it.
Right.
So what I did was I said like all that I think I said like all that would make the scene so much more awesome is to get sped up and play Benny Hill over it. So then I did it. And yeah, I had to like trim that down because they're like, oh, you used too much of the song. I'm like, but it doesn't. I managed to get it fine, but it was still like, it's just doesn't feel right. But it's still funny. And I mean, some of the things that's one of those movies where you want to just download it and put it in your editing software and just fuck around with it. And yeah, because of just how unbelievably bad it is.
Right.
So yeah, and then I think also in that video I had to say like I was showing clips, and those clips I did nothing to edit them. Like I didn't change anything, I didn't add anything. So it was like, wow, this is actually a movie. But yeah, YouTube's algorithm is just odd. It's very odd. And I know a lot of people have talked about it, saying like, yeah, it's pretty stupid sometimes. Because yeah, what happens is a automated system will look at it and just, magically say like if you're good or not. But if you get copyright claimed and you send a claim in, then finally a person looks at it, and then they then decide what to do. Yeah. So the times when I've gotten like a copyright thing, like even like when I did Across the Spider-Verse, that got in the very beginning that got claimed, and then the next day it was then gone. And I was like, what is happening? So yeah, that's why you have like all these other platforms like TikTok. They're trying to basically say, hey, all you YouTubers come over here. And it's just, I have nothing against TikTok, but it reminds me of, it's like a poor version of Vine. Like back when we had Vine.
Right.
So
Fine.
so it's wow. it's just weird because I'm like looking at it going like, oh, okay, so this is like Vine, and then I was like, wait, whatever happened to it?
Well, it's now TikTok, so
yep. So yeah, it's YouTube's just been in this weird place for a while, and I mean, I know some people have said like it's they think that it's not a great place to start, especially right away, but it's definitely a place to get your ideas out and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, that's cool, but yeah, oh well. So we'll see. Let's see what YouTube does.
Let's see, because I know right now it's mainly just streaming. So, well, I know that people that are streaming more than doing the just normal videos are getting paid a little bit more because they have a better contract, I guess, than they do when they were on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's what last time I heard.
Yeah, did you hear about what was it, Pokemon?
Yes.
Yeah, that she's left Twitch after a decade. So it's like, okay, what are you gonna do now?
Surprising.
Yeah, maybe Mixer. I don't know. And then this came out like a little bit ago, but Mr. Beast is trying to produce I think it was a TV series for Prime. And it's kind of like okay, so is it going to be like exactly what we see on YouTube? And it's like each episode, it's like you're kind of leaving YouTube to now do this show that's going to be pretty much exactly what you do on your YouTube channel, except people have to pay a subscription to watch it. I think is that what you're going to do? Oh. But I don't know. I don't watch Mr. Beast. Mainly because it's a whole lot of, money thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's usually all about that.
Yeah.
Money.
I mean, yeah, it's great, what he's doing for, the people and countries even, especially. But it's now like, it feels like, I'm getting paid to it's just I'm getting paid to basically thwart money around, but that's just me because that's what I've been seeing with him. But who knows what he'll do for his Prime series? Who knows? But off topic about YouTubers. Let's talk about Oscars. Did you see the Oscar nominees?
I did see the nominee. I'll pull it up right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are pissed off. I mean, I know. Yeah, Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig are not nominated for Barbie.
No, only Ryan Gosling, and I think
some of the songs.
The songs, yeah.
And I think Best Picture, which is bizarre because usually, the Best Picture nominees, the directors will be included in Best Director. And it's odd. I mean, I think the last time that happened was when Ben Affleck won for Argo, because that movie got nominated and won Best Picture, but he didn't get a director nomination. So it was kind of just, it was weird. But also, yeah, it's the Academy doesn't do like what I think a lot of award shows should do, And that is, have audiences participation. The audience, decides the nominees. They decide the winners, not a group of faceless people that decide it for you. Because yes, there's so many times when I watch the Oscars and I'm just like, I disagree with that. Like some examples, like when, it was Disney Pixar's Brave won Best Animated Film, but they were up against Wreck-It Ralph. And I was like, I prefer Wreck-It Ralph to that one.
I would prefer Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, Brave was a great movie. It was a great storyline, but I wouldn't put the graphics to. I mean, Wreck-It Ralph had everything graphic-wise.
I remember, in that one, I think Paranorman was nominated. I'm like, well, I think that was a good movie. It's, especially since there was two animated movies that came out that year that I'm like, these should have been nominated. And that was Hotel Transylvania and Rise of the Guardians. Because, Hotel Transylvania, I, saw the trailer for that and I just went, oh God, this is just going to be another Adam Sandler poop fest, but it's now all animated. But then I watched it and I was like, wow, that was so surprisingly good and funny. Because
I like Hotel Transylvania, yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one, but that's because he didn't write it. It was instead helped penned by, I think, director and creator of Samurai Jack, which was one of the best animated shows, in the last 20, 25 years. And Rise of the Guardians, I know not a lot of people liked that one. And I'm like, yeah, I personally did. But yeah, and then some other movies, the 2016 Suicide Squad. I think that won for best makeup. Well, I think most of the makeup looked good in that. Some of the other nominees in that, I was like, yeah, I prefer that over this.
I agree. I mean, I'm looking at the animated feature film. I mean, I guess I would have to say that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse would win this.
Well, not according to critics. They're saying it's going to be The Boy and the Heron.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I was just like, yeah, it's probably going to get it, but
Oh, this movie. Okay. Well, yeah, well, that makes sense. It does. I mean, it is a.
I mean, I've heard it's really good, but it's.
Oh, yeah. It's so good.
Oh, is it? Because I haven't seen it. But yeah, out of that list, I'm like, yeah, it's Spider-Man for me.
Looking at everything else. I mean, costume design. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, last year, I remember I only watched the Oscars last year because Everything Everywhere All at Once was nominated big. And I'm just like, I need to see this. And they won a couple in the very beginning, and then they were just sitting in the background. And then they won huge at the end of the show. And I was just so happy about that. And it was especially awesome when it won Best Picture, and it was Harrison Ford saying the name, and you see Ke-Huy Quan, or Short Round, running to the stage and just embracing with him. And it's just like every time I see that, it's just as I have a huge smile on my face, because they're just like, that's just awesome.
I mean, yeah, it is awesome, to be honest.
So yeah, and then he won an Oscar. Jamie Lee Curtis won an Oscar finally, and then Michelle Yeoh finally won an Oscar. And I was like, it's about damn time. But I especially love when Jamie Lee Curtis won. If you look very closely at was it Angelica Bassett?
Yep, Angelica Bassett.
Yeah, she was nominated for Black Panther. And once they called Curtis's name, she just had this look of like, really? Like, whatever. And I'm like, I think if Curtis wasn't nominated, I think she would have got it. I think Bassett would have gotten it. But
I think 100%.
But the Academy probably also looked at, the fact that it is a superhero movie, aka an MCU film, and going like, yeah, we don't really hand Oscars just for that. And what's actually crazy is that it's been Black Panther that has been the MCU movie that has been nominated, not just in visual effects. I mean, I still remember when the first movie was nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
I remember that.
Yeah, I was going like, it's more than likely not going to win, but that film was just fantastic. So yeah, and then, it doesn't help that, the Oscars, it's like they keep changing every year. Like, one show can be like all classy, and then the ratings are down, so then the next year they try to be hip again. And it's like, just stop, please. And then I still think the worst one I saw was when it was Anne Hathaway and James Franco hosted. And I was like, that was terrible.
I don't know. I feel like the Oscars are slowly losing its,
Well, I mean,
credibility, I guess, in a way. Not credibility, but
they announced like how many people watched it each year, and they definitely picked up since then, but it's not for the right reasons.
No.
But yeah, like I think it was 2021. Half of it was in the Dolby Theater, and then half of it was over Zoom. And nobody watched that one. Like they said, like I think like 2 to 4 million people watched it, which is incredibly low, especially for the Oscars. Usually they'll pull around like 6 times that. Like over 100 million, maybe even 2, 3, 5 million, or 500 million. I mean, they said when Seth MacFarlane hosted, that was some people were saying it was 500 million people. So I was like, that's just nuts.
That is nuts. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then there was the whole thing with Kevin Hart going to host it, and then people went into his back catalog of Twitter of like 8 years ago and pulled some tweets and said like, oh, look at this. And it's like, this is old shit. And especially since, Kevin Hart even said like, I apologized for that a while ago. So it's like, they want me to do it again. It's like, I already did that. So yeah, I remember watching his interview with Ellen, and he was just saying like, yeah, I much rather just, step back and not, because he wants the Oscars to be, to be fun. It's a celebration. He wants it to be that, and we all want that. But,
right.
It's going to get brought up. Like, if he does it, it's going to get brought up saying like, oh, dude, your Twitter. And he just doesn't want to deal with that, which I totally get. And, I respect his decision for that. But that was when they started doing it hostless and just having a whole bunch of people involved. And it's like, this is not working.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah. Right? And then I still think, when they announced, I think it was last year? Yeah, last year.
Mm-hmm.
No, year before. Because last year it was Kimmel. But the year before... the year before it was I'm getting my dates screwed up, but there was the one like... it was Wanda Sykes, Regina Hall, and Amy Schumer, and
you're right,
which
you're right.
is more famous for having the slap.
Fair.
Yeah, which
right.
I wasn't even watching that Oscars because it's just like a lot of these films, like I was like, okay, like whatever. And then out of the three hosts, there's only one of them I actually like. One of them I think is okay, and the other one I can't stand at all. And I want to take a guess on who those are.
Well, let me see. I'm guessing Chris Rock was not up there with you. Or maybe he was the one that you could handle. Amy Schumer, I know you hate.
Yep.
Wanda, I'm not too sure.
It's Wanda I liked. Regina Hall I think is okay, and then Schumer I hate.
You hate, yeah. And then Regina Hall. There's nothing wrong with Regina Hall. I feel like she's just another actress up there.
Yeah, it's very hit and miss. Like there'll be something where she'll do like a movie, and I'm like, wow, you're really good, and then turn it around and do like a stinker, and I'm like, what are you doing?
You're right. It is very much 50-50. I mean, when she did Girls Trip, it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you haven't watched it, have you?
Girls Trip, I've seen that.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of her good movies. And then Wanda, I've seen her in a couple things. I thought she was a comedian, no?
She is.
Right, yeah. And then I don't even want to talk about Amy. She's just annoying.
Yeah, and
really
there was a report she said like after the show saying like I'm gonna need to take a break because I'm petrified about the slap, and I'm like, really? It didn't happen to you, girl. I was like, knock it off.
You definitely need to shut up. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. So it's and then just I don't find her funny. Even like in some of the movies that there's actually only one movie she's in that I actually liked, and that was Trainwreck. Because that one it's also it doesn't rely on her shtick or whatever she calls her shtick, but it's also written by Judd Apatow, so like Anchorman and those movies. So it's like, okay, I can actually see this working. And also having Bill Hader in there was awesome too. I love that guy. I think he's hilarious. And he's also a great dramatic actor as well. Like definitely go and watch the show Barry on HBO. He's very good in that. And also I know a lot of people said that he was one of the best parts of It Chapter 2. I'm like, he was one of the best characters in that to me. And yeah, I want him to do more horror movies. And he came out I think a year ago saying that he's working on 3 scripts. One of them is a horror movie. So yeah. So it's but also, I was talking with some other friends of mine, and they're saying comedians also make fantastic dramatic actors as well, like Chris Rock. I haven't seen the new or the season of Fargo that he's in, but he's the lead in Spiral. He's actually pretty good in that, and he's not being his jokey type. He's being a dramatic, cold detective. That's his character. So he's actually doing a really good job with that.
That's good.
And then I know another one that's brought up is Dave Chappelle, because he was in was it A Star Is Born?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember him being really good in that. So, yeah, comedians, can be very funny, and then they turn around and do something out of their comfort zone, and you're like, wow, they can actually do a really good job.
I agree. I felt that way when they with Trevor Noah. I hadn't found out he was a comedian, and then I found out he did some movies, and he's really good in some of them. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, and then he was also working on The Daily Show at the same time, which is why he was the front runner for that. And then now it's kind of going we're bringing in guest hosts for that. It's like just stop. And then now they're bringing Jon Stewart back to do Monday shows, during the election. Which,
Wow.
that's going to be a fun period. But you know, yeah. Um, even like Jon Stewart. Like I always harken back to The Faculty. Which, have you seen that one?
Is that the try to remember.
That's the one where it's set in a high school.
Movie?
It's set in a high school, and it's the students start thinking that an alien parasite plague is corrupting the teachers.
Is it the one with Usher in it or no?
Yeah, that one has Elijah Wood. It has Usher, Josh Hartnett, Salma Hayek. Jean Grey in the original X-Men trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Wow. Okay.
So it's campy as all hell, but it's fun. But yeah, Stewart's in that, and he's one of the teachers, but he kind of like helps them out, but then stuff happens. Won't say what, but stuff happens. But
stuff happens. It's no.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a lot of comedians could be very dramatic actors as well, and I always love seeing that. But yeah, the Oscars, I stopped really giving a shit about it about like 3-4 years ago. I think ever since COVID struck, I think a lot of people gave up on it. And even, they're making executive decisions to not air a lot of the categories. And it's like, well, if you're not going to do that, then why the hell do you even have an award show? So
which, I mean, I find weird because I feel like a lot of award shows have a ton more categories than this,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. The leading role, supporting role, director, cinematography, all that makes sense. But I feel like there should be a lot more tinier ones at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you could definitely, get more into it.
Yeah. So it once they started doing that and just making it just like, hey, here's a huge pack of celebrities. Who win? Who cares? Look at this. Look at the pretty people that showed up. And it's like just say the goddamn award. Say who won. And which is also why, I stopped. Another reason I stopped watching is that they'll literally post who won like 10 minutes after they won.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll see it on social, which is actually, when it came to, the slap one. Yeah, I was seeing winners, and then just all of a sudden my social just blew up saying, like, Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh,
God. Yeah. It was just like, oh my God. Are you kidding me? So it's like every year at the Oscars, something always has to go wrong. Or something is unplanned that they're just going, oh shit, we're screwed. And, I still think it was kind of idiotic in certain ways where Will Smith did that and then still received the Oscar for it.
I found that weird, that he got away with it in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean, if you want to say something after the show, okay, that's fine. You don't do it literally as it's live and you're mic'd up and everything like that. You don't do that. I mean, I understand he was protecting Pickett, which then sources came out and said that they actually divorced years ago. They just didn't say anything.
Yeah, I found that really, really weird that he protected his so-called wife, and then it turns out that wasn't even his wife in the first place. Like, how does that even work?
It just, yeah, I think if you want to say something after the show, okay, that's perfectly reasonable and we get it. But you don't do that literally as the show is happening. So it also reminds me of like I think it was years ago. It was Jennifer Lawrence won Best Actress, and she was like, I think in her early 20s at that time, and she was asked by a reporter saying like, do you think, okay, you won an Oscar in your early 20s, do you think you peaked early? Like,
bro,
it would have made more sense. I mean, you'd still be a dick about it, but it would have made sense, like, if you talked about it like after the show. You don't say that literally after they receive the award. So, yeah, I'm surprised that. And then Lawrence kind of like played it off cool. It was like, oh, I hope not. And that she's also got a sense of humor, which is cool.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that year I think she was walking to the stage to get the Oscar, and she fell. So then she got up and she joked about it. Like, she didn't say like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. She joked about it. And then reporters were asking her like, what happened? And then she just kind of went, I fucking fell. You didn't see that?
That's an amazing reaction. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. So she's got a sense of humor. So that's awesome. It's always a thrill to see like actors and actresses that are talented, but they also have like, those little things about them that, like they got a sense of humor, or some of them are gamers, like Elijah Wood. He plays games for a living. Henry Cavill, or Superman himself, he plays Warhammer, and yeah, and he's going to be part of the series they're making.
I saw. So excited, super excited for that.
Well, did you see the video of him actually building a PC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
of course I did.
Yeah, when
I found out he was a gamer, that's the first thing I looked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think even in an interview he did, he was asked like, so I know you're kind of busy, but what do you like to do when you have downtime? And he just went, Warcraft. To then the interviewer went, what's Warcraft? And then he just had this like shocked face. He's like, you don't know what Warcraft is?
That's just offensive. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's just so funny. But yeah, so I like it when actors and actresses they have sense of humor, that stuff, which is always awesome. But yeah, the Oscars definitely, like, it's gone downhill for me, and I really don't care anymore.
I don't either. I feel like also just the nominees are a little okay.
Yeah. Well,
just everything is like mid.
Yeah.
Is the word I can explain it. Just really, really mid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
So, I mean, they can try to do whatever they can to get views and stuff. I'm sure the only time they got the most views was when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Oh, that was the thing, is that, like, their ratings were low before that happened, but right after it happened, their ratings went shot up. So, like, more people tuned in because they wanted to see what was happening after it was going on. And then, yep. So it's...
Which, I mean, I know now the only reason they're getting views is because of the Ken thing. And I'm sure people are just going to tune in to see whether or not I'm just Ken won the won the original music section.
Well, you know what's crazy is that if you watch the Golden Globes, I'm Just Kidding song won, and it cut to Ryan Gosling's face, and he was just like all shocked about it. And he was like, "Wait, what? That won?"
I mean, to be fair, they're just proving the whole point of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what.
It was a funny and a good song anyway, but
mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just, I think
I'm not denying that it was a great song. Mm-hmm. I just don't know why it won.
Yeah. So, yeah, there really wasn't. I mean, even last year's Oscars, when Everything Everywhere All at Once won, when it came to the original songs, I was reading up about them, and people were saying like, "Oh, we already know who's going to win this category," and it was that song from, was it Triple R or RRR? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. Which when I was watching it and they were doing the performances, and I'm like, okay, this song's okay. Like, all right, song's cool. And then they played that song, and I went, yeah, this is going to win. Like, hands down, this is going to win. And it did. It's, you can kind of tell who's going to win by the performances they do. I mean, I still remember when Skyfall won Best Original Song.
Adele, right? Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a huge fan of Adele, but that song was just amazing, and it
fit with the movie so well.
I fucking love that film.
Mm-hmm.
So because people were saying like it was like they think that this song was the best one since like Goldfinger from the 60s.
Wow.
And I'm
really?
Really thinking about it. I'm like, well, it's the one in that style. Or sometimes you'll have really good songs like Duran Duran's song for View to a Kill. Great song, terrible movie. It's god awful. And even like something like like Spectre, where I've only seen it once and I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Sam Smith's song, and I remember my dad and I were watching the Oscars, and that song won, and both of us were pissed off because we were like, "What? That song sucks!" And what's even funny about it is, like, years later, I was, my family was getting into The Voice, and one of the contestants did a cover of that song, and I'm like, this cover is way better. And I'm like, what is going on? Or even the newest one, which is No Time to Die. Right. That is the only Billie Eilish song I have heard. Well, besides hers and Barbie. Those are the only two songs that I've heard of hers.
Like in general? Just
in general.
Who? Wow.
Yeah. I've not heard any of her other songs.
I mean, I'm not a big Billie Eilish fan, but I feel like you should have heard it at least once or twice here and there,
Yeah, nope.
Maybe not the full song, but just clips.
Well, and then, the Grammys were last night. And, I think Barbie was winning big. But the one that pulled the most weight out of that was, Miley Cyrus showed up and she won for her newest album.
Flowers.
But
mm-hmm.
I remember seeing people on Twitter, making fun of her, saying she looks like a lot like she just got like possessed by Zool in Ghostbusters. And I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And then people were telling me that Taylor Swift won Album of the Year, I think for the 4th time. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. I think she's overrated.
I didn't hear her new album. I kind of stopped listening to her after her last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know.
I think she's a little overrated, and there's the whole thing coming out between her and one of the Kansas City Chiefs players, and people are talking about that over the Super Bowl, and it's just like, just shut up. Like, I don't care. And yeah, like everywhere where I went on the radio, they were talking about it. I'm just like, shut up and get to the goddamn music. Like, I don't care.
Shit, hurry up.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care. You know, luckily I've had no people like come up to me and ask me about that, because I will be like, like, seriously, do I have to talk about this again?
Just seriously, man.
Yeah,
right here, right now.
Yeah. So yeah, you know. Well, and then do you know who's doing the Super Bowl halftime show this year?
No, sir, I don't know.
It's going to be Usher.
Okay.
So, yeah, I didn't see last year's where it was Rihanna. I didn't see that one. The year before that was the one that had like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, and that one was just awesome.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
what year was that?
That one, it was I think it was the LA Rams won the Super Bowl that year. Yes, because I remember watching that, and my family, they're big LA Rams fans. So I was telling my friends and family, saying, this is either going to go one of two ways. I'm like, one, they're going to be so excited and so happy for a while, or two, they're going to be very depressed and pissed off. So like, this is going to go one or two ways. And so I kind of told them, like, yeah, if the Rams lose, I'm just going to like just vacate to my room for a while and come out and say like almost with like caution. But that didn't happen. The Rams won. Oh. And yeah, that one they did a lot of their like the classic ones. So like they did California Love, because Dr. Dre helped Tupac with that song. Okay. Eminem did Lose Yourself. So yeah, it was really cool the way they did it. And then, you know, especially like I think it was the year before where it was The Weeknd did it. Mm-hmm. And everyone just made fun of. I remember that. Yeah, everyone just made fun of it. And even what's funny is when I was watching with my family, we were kind of going like, what the hell is he doing? Like what is he doing? And then I think it was like 20 minutes after the game was over, I looked at social and said, it's already a meme. I'm like, of course it is. It took 20 minutes after the game was over for it to become a meme. But yeah, there was definitely some, you know, there's definitely been some great ones like, you know, like I said, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Dr. Dre. I think Mary J. Blige was on that one. You also had like Michael Jackson's one. You had Prince's one. And then you've had, you know, some stinkers like, you know, like I don't think The Weeknd's one was totally bad. It was just confusing a lot of the time.
It was too big, you know. It was too big and lavish. And, I mean, it was a cool thing. It was a cool show. It's been a while since I've done something so big and lavish, but and then, you know, it was just a little too much.
Yeah, and then I don't care for either one of them anyway. But you know, I didn't care for Maroon 5 and Nicki Minaj doing theirs.
Right.
I don't care for either one of them. It was the same thing with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez doing theirs. I'm just like, I don't give a shit about them. So, yeah. It's like
everyone to its own, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, you know, we'll see how this is going to turn out, because I know it's the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. And
oh boy.
Yeah, it's going to be like whoever wins, the other city is going to be bursting in flames. I mean, because San Francisco is ruthless, and also Kansas City is ruthless as well. I mean, yeah, last year's Super Bowl, the Chiefs, it was like, I think it was almost like 30-3 or something. It was not a good game. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But oh well. And I also know that Nickelodeon is doing something because they have a contract with the NFL now.
Bro, okay,
yep.
well,
Like they're doing
back up there.
They're gonna do Sweet Victory from SpongeBob on the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl.
You think it'll be acted out, or they'll just replay the old clip?
They're probably gonna like replay the clip, but then all like the shots of like the audience, like the very low quality audience, because that was actually footage from actual like football games. Like they didn't shoot that just for that episode. It was actually real footage. And yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I have no idea what they're gonna do. And we'll see. I know last year's Super Bowl, the only things I was interested in was them showing some of the movie commercials. That's really all I cared about. Because that's when they showed the footage for Jordan Peele's Nope. And all my family and I were watching it, and I was the only one that was going like, oh hell yeah, I'm seeing that. I mean, I was gonna see it anyway, but after seeing the footage, I'm just like, yeah, dude.
Yep, that's it. That's the one I'm doing.
But yeah, I know like when it comes to like products, I know Pringles is gonna do something with Chris Pratt. I know Doritos is doing something with Jenna Ortega. There's a couple of others in there. And yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I know we're gonna watch it, but I just don't know what's gonna happen because it happens next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Wow. Okay.
This
that's not too far from now.
Nope. Yeah, I think it was the 11th, which is weird because usually they're like the end of February or even into March, but yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I also know with the Oscars, they've been nominating a lot of Pixar movies, and a lot of them I'm kind of like, really? You're nominating that one?
Let me see. I have this whole thing pulled up. I'm glad to see that Godzilla -1 is being nominated for visual effects, even though it's already won plenty of awards recently for other things. But okay, let's see. Product design, best picture. I don't think there are any of the best pictures, are they? No.
Yeah, even like the visual effects, like they're leaving out a couple of other movies. Like personally on that list, I know they put Mission Impossible, and I'm like, a lot of the visual effects work happens towards the very end of the film. But it's all like stunt work and stuff like that. I know that they were trying to fight for a while to put a best stunts category in the Oscars. And if that was going to go to a movie this year, hands down, I want it to go to John Wick. Because
I agree with you on that one.
Because Chapter 4, it was even they kind of said like, I think we went a little overboard.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I mean, even Keanu said that there were weeks when he had no dialogue when he showed up. And he just fought.
That's a whole point, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, John Wick's not nominated for anything. Which is stupid. Even not like
it's kind of
even if I would have to put it in like one of those categories, it would probably be cinematography.
I would also put it in cinematography.
There were a lot of shots in that movie that were just gorgeous. Like especially like the nightclub scene, like that whole fight and just how that worked was just amazing. And, you know, again, that's why I don't really care about the Oscars, but, you know, they've been nominating like a lot of Pixar movies. And I don't know about you, but I feel like nowadays a lot of Pixar movies are kind of downhill.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean,
Pixar. Oh, no.
Because
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, because I remember when Pixar was like first starting out, and they were just like, oh, they can do no wrong, you know, especially after Incredibles, and then they went and did Cars, and I was like, oh, I know a lot of people like adore that film.
What's wrong with Cars?
Moving on.
You, master, are just pick-pointing stuff. I'm just
No,
saying,
but then to me, they were able to bounce back with WALL-E and then Toy Story 3, which were both great. And then they did Cars 2.
Okay.
And, you know, as much as I don't really care for the first Cars, 2 was like, I cannot stand this. Then they were just kind of like, all right, let's put on the brakes. And then they came out with Inside Out, which I thought wasn't going to be very good, but it had so much going on. I was like, wow, I don't know how the hell you guys did it. And then,
I liked it. I mean, sure, Pixar has had some hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it would be that one that got nominated for an Oscar. It's called Elemental.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Like it. No. I saw it. It was decent. I wouldn't say it was Oscar worthy. Cars 3 wasn't a very good movie either.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one.
They could have stopped that too.
Yeah.
Lightyear.
I saw parts of Lightyear, and I'm like, okay, I understand what you're doing, but you know, just overall, it's just kind of like, all right, like whatever.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's some good movies. Like, I like Rango, the one with Johnny Depp. Rango is a really good movie for me.
But that wasn't Disney.
That was Disney?
That wasn't Disney.
Pixar, no?
I think that was... I'd like to say it was Paramount. But that's also because that movie was done by... I think it was Gore Verbinski, who did, like The Ring remake, and... I know not a lot of people liked this one, Cure for Wellness, and was going to make a BioShock movie at one point, but then when he told the studio like, yeah, it's going to be $100 million R-rated movie, that shut the conversation down.
Oh shit!
Yep, yeah. They said that there was one meeting with the studio. I forget what it was. I forget who the studio was, but. He walked in, it was him and his agent and a whole bunch of executives at the studio. And he said, it's going to be a $100 million R-rated movie. And this was during the time when studios were not going to give $100 million to make an R-rated movie, not like nowadays. You know, they were kind of going, no, this needs to be PG-13. But Verbinski was going, then if it's going to be PG-13, then it's not going to be a BioShock movie. You're going to have so much things that are skipped out and left out. I agree on that one. So then after the meeting, his agent pulled him aside and said, why did you say that? And then he's like, because that's what it is. And that shut that down. And it's not only until now that, you know, Netflix picked up the rights to do it, and they have a director and a screenwriter working on it. And it's, I do like the choices they have. Like, director is the same director as Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Which I think is very, very cool and underrated. And the scriptwriter worked on, I think they said Blade Runner 2049. So I was like, okay. I'm all right. I'm perking up at this. Like, all right, like worries are kind of, you know, dipping low a little bit. But, you know, we'll see. You know, and especially since Netflix has a track record when it comes to video game adaptations, that most of them are good. And, you know, you have your ones in there, like, you know, I haven't seen it mainly because, you know, I don't really care a whole lot for the series. I tried some of the games and I was just like, yeah, this just isn't for me.
Hit or
Netflix's
miss.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard people talking to me saying like it feels like a CW show. I was like, oh, so it's bad. And they're like, that's one way of putting it.
Bad.
But they also came out with like Castlevania, Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
Mm-hmm.
Arcane, and I've only seen the Cyberpunk one, and I thought that was really good. Um, I think it was my dad. He saw a little bit of the Castlevania one, and he said that that was really good. Um, and then I have friends that have seen the Arcane one, and they said that that one was really good as well. And
Okay.
so Netflix has, you know, a good track record. Yes, they've had some misses, but overall, you know, they've had some good they've had a good track record when it comes to doing video game adaptations. So, you know, we'll see. And then especially nowadays when, you know, video game adaptations are, you know, we're not going to slide on like stupidity anymore like they were back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like much like HBO with The Last of Us, they actually thought it out, and you know, we're saying, look, this is what works. We're gonna do it, and throw a few surprises along the way that will shock people, and yeah, and it worked. And what's interesting is that when I played the game, I knew pretty much what was going to happen in the show. So when I was showing it to my mom, I just told her, I'm like, look, there's going to be parts where you're probably not going to want to get too attached to anybody.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I told her that, and I'm just like, just you know, just let you know. And
Just letting you know, heads up.
and then yeah, there were the parts that, you know, were shocking. I'm like, yep. It was like, yep, I played that. And my God, was that hard. So that was hard to get through. But now they're working on season 2, and even they said that there's a possibility to do a third game. Which yeah, they said that they have ideas for a third one. But after that, that's it. So yeah. So we'll see what Naughty Dog does. But yeah. So yeah, video game adaptations, you know, I'm glad they're on the rise again, and you know, people are actually making good versions of them. So, you know, yay. Yeah, and then something came out today, as we're recording this. Like literally, I saw it like 20 minutes before we started this episode. They released the poster and the trailer for Winnie the Pooh 2.
No, I don't want to hear about it. Go.
All I will say,
leave it at the door. I don't want to hear about it.
All I will say is that it doesn't really look like they're in the woods anymore. It looks like they're like branching out to a wider playing field. And I'm going, okay, like there was some stuff in the trailer that I went, okay, that's kind of cool, but I know you're gonna fuck this up and just make it just terrible on purpose. So yeah, it's probably gonna be one of those movies where you'll probably have to pay me to watch it just because of the first one. So.
No, I'm all for you, bro. I don't know if I could do it again. Not sober, at least. I don't think I could do that sober to myself again.
Yep. So that's what came out. So yay. But Another thing that just came out that we are doing this in honor of Argyle.
Yep.
Which
Argyle.
Which I've been hearing more negative about it.
Which I'm not very happy about because
Yeah.
I really wanted to like it, considering I've watched all the Kingsman movies.
Well, and we're doing Secret Service today, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, it's same director as Kingsman, and yeah, I still haven't seen it. I'd probably still watch it just because, I saw like Night Swim a couple weeks ago. Even when people were saying like, yeah, it's not very good, and my opinions of that one are it's kind of ridiculous. I didn't full up hate it, mainly because like I was going, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen, so it was very predictable, and it was like, all right, whatever. Like I don't think this is terrible, but it certainly could have been a lot better than what it was. But yeah,
Okay.
I've heard people saying that Argyle is lazy. It's just mediocre. And I'm like, oh, that really sucks. But who knows? Still might watch it just because I did want to check it out. But
right.
We are doing Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Yes, which is the first movie.
Yep.
It's the first movie.
Yeah, it's the first movie out of the trilogy. Yes. It was Secret Service, and then the Golden Circle, and then the third one was the Kingsmen. So it was the prequel of how the Secret Service came about. And I've only seen Secret Service and Golden Circle. And Golden Circle I thought was okay. Like, especially after Secret Service, expectations were a little bit high just because this movie was so surprisingly good and funny.
Yeah.
So like my expectations were just maybe a little too high. It was cool to see like some people show up in it, but it was like, okay, like, whatever. But so the Secret Service, when I think I was recommended this movie by my dad.
Oh,
and okay. Yeah, because I didn't see it in theaters because I was too young to see it. But he was trying to get me into some movies, and he recommended the first Kingsman because I don't think two came out yet. And he was saying like, look, it's got like a ridiculous setup, but it's so funny. And I'm like, okay. And so then I watched it, and yeah, I mean the fact that, you have Samuel Jackson playing the he was the villain, and he just has like a typical like baseball cap, and he serves like McDonald's and Big Macs and stuff like that on like fine china. It's like okay, you know exactly what you're getting into. And what's even kind of cool is I did some research about it. And the fight coordinating was actually done by it was a guy who had worked with Jackie Chan. And helped do like the fight coordinating on like The World's End and then Shang-Chi, which is why the fighting in Shang-Chi was so cool. But I heard he passed away fairly recently, and yeah, so it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So the action in this felt very like Jackie Chan because the stunt coordinator worked with him, and so it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see that. And then, yeah, this is one of those movies where, if if a friend of mine says like, I want to watch like an action movie, but I don't want it to be too serious, this is one of them that I recommend. I'm just like, dude, watch this one.
It definitely is. It has comedy, it has action, it has, I don't know, monarchy, I guess, in a way. They're in London.
Yeah.
They're in London. They're all English. They all use the round table nicknames: Arthur, Galahad, Lancelot.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah. So it's definitely like being self-aware and going like, look, we aren't taking this seriously, but we kind of are at the same time. It kind of feels like something like, to me, like Evil Dead, where sometimes what you're seeing is just outrageous that you're like, oh my god, come on, really? But it's the rules of the world. So it's like, it's how that world works. And with this one, it's the same thing. It's them going like, look, we're a secret service, but we're not being too serious. We're being just sarcastic a lot. I mean, the fact that one of the characters has a cane and a sword comes out of it, which is very common.
Yes, it is very common. That is a real thing. You see it in John Wick 2, I think.
Yep. And then, I mean, in John Wick 4, it was Donnie Yen. His whole character was Kane, where he had a sword in his cane because he was blind.
Literally.
Yeah, Donnie Yen loves playing blind characters. I've noticed he loves it. But
he does.
Then, I mean, you have an umbrella that deflects bullets, and you're going like, okay, this is James Bond type, but it's not trying to be like the Roger Moore era of Bond, where it was the 70s and 80s, mainly the 80s, where it was like, oh, we don't care at all. The gadgets are just absolutely dumb, and we just, this is just silly. This one, it takes that and basically goes, we know this is ridiculous, but it helps us. And, I still think it's quite funny. So, yeah.
Great. I agree. Kingsman has to be one of my favorite series, just in general. Even the newer movies, the ones that don't have all the original actors in them, just because they are funny, you kind of get a little bit of everything in there. Just, it's really just let me sit down and eat popcorn and watch this for the next hour and a half. Yeah. So, but I agree. Everything about it is fabulous. The fighting, you're right, it is very Jackie Chan, is what you said.
Yeah. Very like Hong Kong.
Yeah, very, which I like. I like it because you see a different type of fighting style compared to other movies, kind of like John Wick, where it's just full on fist, gun in whatever's near you.
Yeah.
So, and the actors in them are great. I think one of them, I forgot the old guy that plays Arthur. I really don't remember, but I know he's a very famous actor. I just don't remember the actor's name.
You said Arthur?
The one that Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
So, it
was fun to see Samuel L. Jackson in this movie too. Yeah.
And you could tell like he was being like, he knew exactly what to do. He knew like, all right, just being ridiculous, but gonna have fun with it. It wasn't like The Spirit where it was just ridiculous. This is okay, like, it's not like ridiculous to the point that I just don't give a shit. This is like, okay, it's ridiculous, but there's a certain charm to it and it works. No.
I agree.
Well, but yeah, I've always liked the first one. Like I said, the second one was okay to me, and I still haven't seen the third one. I know they're trying to do a fourth one. They just can't figure out what to do, or it's not the right time yet.
Right.
But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they can just leave it at where it is. I mean, obviously, I would like a new movie, but I don't want it to end up being like a rushed bad movie, because the Kingsman is a really great series for it to have one let's not talk about it brother on the side.
Yeah.
So, I feel like if they are going to make a fourth movie, they got to really think about it, because, again, I really don't want it to flunk with how good the series is. Mm-hmm. So, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, what they could do is do like a big finale where it's like all the characters that appeared, whether they get killed or, whether they're dead, they're all back in this one. And so it's like the epic conclusion. So they could do that, but...
They could, yeah.
But, money talks in the industry, so we'll see if we get another one.
Yeah, and maybe this time they could hire Leonardo DiCaprio to play the villain. Because you know that, right? That they try to get Leo to play the villain, but it didn't, Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like, I think he was doing something else at the time. I think he was doing something else at the time. So he just said,
well, I think...
I think DiCaprio would do it, mainly because he does have a sense of humor outside of his movies. Like in real life, he does have a sense of humor. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do, but
we'll see.
First movie, I've always enjoyed it, and it's one of those movies where when friends of mine ask me like, what movies would you recommend where they're, action and funny, but also not too serious. This one is definitely on there. It's a couple of other ones, but there's this one as well where I'm like, yeah, this one is just so fun. So and then they kind of had the same response I did. I was just like, really? This one? I'm like, just watch it. Just watch it. And then they did, and they're like, yeah, okay, that was really good. So,
I mean, yeah, you can't really go wrong with the Kingsman movies. I feel like every single one of them, I kind of didn't like the third one as much as I did with like the other ones, but I did like them just in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you just have time to watch a movie and you really want a little bit of everything, this is the way to go, in my opinion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So what would you give it?
On our scale, I think it would be
respect.
Oh, respect. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. It's very, very much a respect. Yeah. It's definitely one of those movies where it's like if you need a break from something and you don't want to concentrate too much on stuff. I mean, yeah, of course there's a story, there's stuff going on, but if it's just like slapstick ridiculous, just like, all right, this is one of them. That's also why, like, when it comes to like horror stuff, if I want to watch something that's just over the top and just ridiculous, that's why I go to like something like Evil Dead or even James Wan's Malignant, where it's like, okay, I can tell what you're doing. Like you're being ridiculous, but it is, and you're having fun with it. And this I would say is on the action scale. They definitely are, being ridiculous, but they don't basically do a giant wink to the audience. They just let the audience decide for them or decide for themselves. So it's, yeah, I've always enjoyed the movie, and yeah, who knows if we get a fourth one.
Who knows? But if we do, I hope it's a really good one.
Yeah. Still want to check out Argyle.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on social. Listen to full shows on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the Cinematic Duo YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening.